लेकिन अभी थोड़ा सेटलमेंट कर लो अपने इंटरव्यू वगैरह
उसके बाद वहाँ पर जो होना है सब छोड़ सकते हैं।
15 दिन होंगे, उसके बाद जब हम वहाँ सेट हो जाएंगे ना,
हाँ
उसके बाद
स्टूडियो में वहाँ सेट हो जाएंगे तो सही से चल।
उसके बाद
सितंबर या अक्टूबर से
बस 25 तक है
सितंबर से हो जाएगी।
तो आज मेरी तो जो थी बस उसके बाद करूँगी।
शांत रहो, एंजॉय करो, जो भी करना करो।
एंजॉय करो मेरा गाड़ी बना लो। अच्छा
यूनिवर्सिटी गाड़ी बना लो।
यूनिवर्सिटी कॉलेज डॉक्टर भीमराव अम्बेडकर कॉलेज है ना यमुना विहार जहाँ से लिखते नाटक।
माउस तो चढ़ता नहीं है आपके इसमें या
डायग्राम वगैरह थोड़ा सा करना पड़ता है। अम्बेडकर कॉलेज है लिस्ट करो। उसका मत पता ना वो कौन है।
मोमाटी
हाँ
पीछे पड़ जाएगी।
हाँ
इसकी बात है।
हाँ
मेरा भी करवा दे, मेरा भी करवा दे।
फिर आगे तक खबरें तो ही खराब
बेस्ट फ्रेंड।
तो पहले बैठ सबको तो करता हूँ। अच्छा ये बात भी है ऐसे बड़ी हो गई मगर एक को ब्लैक कर दिया अब वो ये डाल दो मतलब कॉम्बिनेशन में डाल दो यहाँ तक दिक्कत है टेंशन आ रही है था मैंने गया अभी तक पड़ा
निकाल दिया होगा।
मुझे तो
एक मिनट
परसों सर्विस कराने का उसको ठीक होने के लिए
लास्ट में करो।
Hello students, welcome to my live teaching learning session of MMPC 010 Managerial Economics. In today's session, we will cover Block 4, Unit 10 and 11. The topic of Unit 10 and 11 is Market Structure and Pricing Decision under Perfect Competition and Pure Monopoly. Market Structure. What is the meaning of this market structure and what types of market structure we have to study in this unit? You know that market is a place where goods and services can be sold or purchased. And in economics, there are different forms of market like perfect competition market, monopoly market, monopolistic competition market, oligopoly market, duopoly market, monopsony market, bilateral monopoly market. So there are different forms of market. So in today's session, we will cover pricing decision and market structure of this different forms of market structure. We will study about two market structure. One is perfect competition and next is pure monopoly. So let us start from first topic. What is the meaning of market structure? Market structure is the interconnected characteristics of a market, such as the number and relative strength of buyers and sellers. In market, buyers and sellers meet together to buy and sell goods and services. So, the strength of buyers and sellers, we have to study about this thing in market structure. How much degree of freedom is exist in different forms of market, which determining the price level. If you have more freedom, then you can determine the price level with the help of market forces like demand and supply curve, and it may be increase due to increase in demand, and it may be decrease due to increase in supply. And what level of competition exists in different forms of market, extent of product differentiation, and ease of entry into and exit from the market. So these are different factors, different features which are interconnected with a market. And in each and every market, we have to understand this different features of this market. Like in some market, buyers and sellers are in large number. In other market, buyers are large in numbers, but sellers are is only one. If sellers are in a few number, that is formed in another type of market. And freedom, in some market there is fully freedom of entry and exit, but in some other markets there are restrictions or there are barriers in entry and exit. And in perfect competition market, there is a homogeneous product. All these sellers produces same level of product. But in other markets, maybe product differentiation is possible. So in all these markets, we will study about these things or these features of a market, such as the number of sellers and buyers, the strength of buyers and sellers, degree of freedom in determining the price level, and the level of competition, and the extent of product differentiation, and entry and exit from the market. So all these include in market structure. So the types of market structure include perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and duopoly market. Market structure is best defined as the organizational and other characteristics of a market. So this is the definition of market structure, and we can classify different markets with the help of these characteristics. Next is meaning and definition. You know that market is a place, market is an arrangement that facilitates the buying and selling of the product, services, and factors of production or future commitment. Markets are, there are different types of market like money market, labor market, and goods market, and different forms of market are also available like perfect competition market, monopoly market, monopolistic competition market, oligopoly market, and so on. So what is market? Market is an arrangement. Market is a place where buyers and sellers meet together to sell and buy their goods and services, and it's an arrangement that facilitate the buying and selling of the product or services and factors of production like land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, or future commitments. That is the meaning of market. Now structure means, because market structure word is the mixture of, one is market and other word is structure. So we have described what is the meaning of market. Market is an arrangement of buying and selling of products, services, and other factors of production. And what is the meaning of structure? Structure refers to something that organization and dimensions. And the market structure, if we add both these concepts like market and structure, if we include both these concepts, then it will convert it into market structure. And market structure refers to the size and design of the market. It also includes the manner of the operation of the market. So this is the meaning of market structure. Now next is, what is market structure? We can say that market structure is the organizational and other characteristics of a market. We tend to focus on those characteristics of a market which affect the degree of competition between firms and their pricing decisions. Traditionally, we emphasizes the number of distribution, the number and size distribution of buyers and sellers. Because in perfect competition market, there are large number of buyers and sellers. In monopoly market, only single seller exists. In monopolistic competition market, there are large number of buyers and sellers exist. In oligopoly market, there are only few sellers exist, but buyers may be in large numbers. So, market structure explain the number and size distribution of buyers and sellers, and the existence of or absence of barriers to entry and exit. In perfect competition market, there is no barrier, there is no restrictions regarding entry and exit. Any firm can enter into the market at any time, and any firm can exit from the market. Obviously, when they will get benefit, they will earn profit, they will enter into the market, and when they will bear losses, they will exit from the market. So, in case of profit, they will enter, and in case of loss, they can exit. In perfect competition market, there is a freedom of entry and exit. But in monopoly market, when only single seller exists, there is restriction, there is a barrier on entry and exit, because if only single seller exists, if that single seller exit from the market, then market will be abolished, market will be finished. Who will continue that market when only single seller exists? And if only single seller exists, if that single seller exit from the market, then market will be finished. So in monopoly market, there is a restriction of entry and exit. And if other firms enter into that market, then that market will not be called monopoly, because in monopoly market only single seller exists. So these are the main different criteria which can explain the market structure. Now next is components of market structure. What are the various components of market structure? Market structure components are: number one is concentration of market power. Market power in monopoly market, whole market power is concentrated to only single seller. In oligopoly market, in which only few sellers exist, few sellers have concentration power, or they have market power, concentrated market power. But in perfect competition market, when large number of buyers and sellers exist, there is no concentration of market power exist. And in monopolistic competition market, there is no concentration of monopoly or market power exist. Next is degree of product differentiation. Market structure mainly explain how much product is producing by the perfect competition market or any other market. For example, perfect competition market produces always homogeneous product or same product. But in monopoly market, product may be homogeneous, may be differentiated because only single seller exists. Single seller has a monopoly power and single seller can differentiate the product or maybe product homogeneous. Depends upon the willingness of seller. And conditions for entry and exit. You know that perfect competition market, there is a freedom of entry and exit. Monopoly, there is a restriction on entry and exit. In monopolistic competition market, there is fully freedom of entry and exit. And in oligopoly market, there is a restriction in entry and exit. Next is flow of market information. In which market structure flow of market information is available, or in which market information is not available. So in perfect competition market, there is a perfect mobility, perfect information is available. And it is very clearly when product is same, price is same, then there is no hidden information in market. But if price is differentiated or price discrimination is possible, product differentiation is possible, then there will not be perfect information available in the market. Because perfect information only available in that case when price and product is homogeneous or same or uniform. But if price is different, product is different, then perfect information cannot be possible. In monopoly market, perfect information is not possible. In monopolistic competition market, price is different, product is different, no perfect information is available. And in oligopoly market, perfect information may be available or may not be available. In case of homogeneous product, it may be available, and in case of differentiated product, it may not be available. Now next is degree of integration. What type of degree of integration is available? So these are the main components of market structure, and with the help of these components we can describe the different forms of market, and we can decide the price level in different market structure forms. Now next is factors determining market structure. What are the main determining factors which determine the market structure? Market structure, the main first factor which determine this structure is number of independent seller. In some markets, sellers may be in large number. In other market, sellers may be in few numbers. If there are two sellers exist, that is called duopoly. If there are few sellers exist, that is called oligopoly. If there is large sellers exist, that is called monopolistic competition or perfect competition. And if only one seller exists, that is monopoly market. Now sellers concentration, like non-existent, low, medium and high. Seller concentration may be higher, seller concentration may be lower, seller concentration may be non-existence or medium. It depends upon different characteristics of market structure. Next is product differentiation. Differentiated product means when producer produces different type of product, but the purpose of product is same. If you are changing the size, quality, packing, design, price, etc. of the product, that is called differentiated product. For example, at present, so many differentiated products are available. So many differentiated product means close substitutes are available in the market. For example, biscuits, there are different companies who are making different types of biscuits And if price is same, 5 rupees or 10 rupees, but the color, size, design, packing, there is a difference. And the taste, all things are different in different types of biscuits. This is called product differentiation. Product may be homogeneous or may be differentiated. In perfect competition market, product is homogeneous. But in monopolistic competition market, product is always differentiated. At present, monopolistic competition market we can see everywhere. It's a good example of like biscuits, shampoos, surf, and cold drinks. Different things are available. Bathing soaps, everything that is available in close substitutes or differentiated products. Some products are slightly differentiated, some products are largely differentiated, and some products have no substitutes. Some products are unique and they have no substitutes. So product may be homogeneous, perfectly substitutable, close substitutable, slightly differentiated, having no substitutes. Next is entry or condition of entry. Free. In some markets, there is a freedom for entry and exit, like perfect competition market, monopolistic competition market. And in monopoly market, there is very difficult and there is a restriction or barriers of entry and exit. In oligopoly, there is also barriers or restrictions in entry and exit. So in some market, there is a freedom for entry and exit, and in other markets, there is difficulty for entry and exit, but not impossible. In some market, impossible or prohibited by law, and that is only exist in monopoly market case, in which there is impossible or prohibited by law that no one other seller can enter in monopoly market. If other firms enter, then monopoly will be finished. So, condition of entry may be restricted, may be free, may be impossible, or may be prohibited by law. Now, next is factors influencing competition in entry to market. What are the various factors which influence the competition in entry to market? Why in monopoly market only single seller exists? Why other firms can't enter in that market? What are the barriers? What are the restrictions? What prohibition? Or why there is an impossible entry in that market? Number one reason is intensity of competition. Intensity of competition varies with a number of rivals in particular industry. More number of rivals leads to more intense rivalry. So intensity of competition varies. The number of rivals. If large number of rivals exist, more number of rivals leads to more competition. Less number of rivals leads to less competition. Next is market growth rate. If market is growing at a very fast rate, then there is possible untapped and new space opportunities. If market growing at fast pace, then there is impossible to pace out and impossible to tap new opportunities. Next is differentiation in the product offering. If high product differentiation is available, it leads to less rivalries. So differentiation is the product offering. High product differentiation leads to less rivalry, and less differentiation product leads to high rivalries. High switching cost. If there is a huge switching cost, then competition will be less. And if switching cost is less, then competition will be higher. And next is existing the industry also play important part in competition intensity. You know that some big corporate sectors or big players who are exist in the market or who are at present playing very important role in the market, they are working from a long time back, a long time ago. So in this case, no one can compete that firms or business entrepreneurs. So if existing the industry also play very important role in competition intensity, a firm has a very large scale production and good and his prestige, its prestige or its market goodwill is very good, then other firms can't compete it, then competition will be lower. So these are different factors which influence the competition to enter in the market. Now next is barriers to entry. What are the factors or what things which put some restrictions while entering into the market? So there are so many barriers to entry. Some barriers are legally, which is by law, made by government. Legal restrictions. There are some legal restrictions, some license and other entry restrictions, and if a firm is operating in a very large scale business, then other firms can't compete that firm. So legal restriction is like patent right and invention. Patent right is exclusive right. For how many years? It is available for 20 years. And license and other entry restrictions like federal license, state license. If government give license to some specific industrial units, not to all, then there is a barrier to entry which is imposed by government. So legal restriction is also imposed by government. So government can restrict the entry into the market by putting some legal restrictions and by providing license to some few firms, not to all. Next is economies of scale. Economies of scale only possible when firm is operating with large scale business. In large scale business, firms get so many benefits like internal and external economies of scale. Economies of scale means benefits, advantages. If a firm is doing its business at a very large scale, then firm will get some internal economies and some external economies of scale. That's why cost advantages associated with large operations, and it also restrict the entry to the other firms. For example, some big players are producing or manufacturing this cold drinks like Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Thumbs Up, and Mirinda, Fanta, Sprite, etc. They are producing in a very large scale and they are doing their business not only in a single country, multinational level. They are expanding their business and their product is using by whole country people. So when a firm is producing product in a very large scale, then no one can other firm compete that firm which is already existed in the market from the very long time period. So economies of scale restrict the entry of the other new firms. And the cost of production, because they are producing at a very large scale, that's why they are getting some benefits which is associated with large scale operations. No one new firm can get these advantages in production of very small scale. Because if you want to produce in a very large scale product, then you must need more money or financial capacity. So they are very big players. They have lots of money. They can invest billions of dollars in their business enterprises. That's why they can earn cost advantages which associated with large operations, and it restricts the entry of the other new firms. Next is brand loyalty. Brand loyalty is also restrict the entry of the new firms. Customers always prefer for the product of organization currently existing in the task environment. If brand is loyal, and if a company's or any manufacturer brand is loyal and customer give preference to that brand loyalty, if the prestige or goodwill of the firm is very good in market, then people always prefer to buy that company's product, and other firms who want to enter in the market can't establish their brand loyalty in a very shorter time period. So how other firms can compete? The existing firms who are operating in a very large scale and who have brand loyalty, and customer always prefer to their product, then how they can make their image or their brand loyalty in a very shorter time period and at a very lower price? It's not possible. So this is also the barriers to entry. And some government regulations can also restrict the entry of the firms into the market. So these are different causes which are barriers to entry for the new firms. Next is common barriers to entry. Some common barriers also available which restrict the entry of the new firms. One is capital requirement. Plant and equipment may require large investment. Particularly if there are large scale of economies, then capital requirement will be large. And if in some business enterprises, if capital investment or capital requirement is large, so only that business entrepreneur who have lots of capital, who have huge or in a bulk quantity of money, only they can invest their money in business enterprises. They can afford this plant and equipment in a very large scale to operate in a large scale business. Other firms who have very small amount of money, who have very less financial capacity, they can't enter into the market. So this is also the restriction of entering into the market. Next is monopoly power. Monopoly power, this can either be in the form of patent right or natural monopoly. Natural monopoly is that condition in which the initial cost is higher, but after expanding that project, the cost will be lower. That's why in case of natural monopoly, average cost curve, which is generally U-shaped curve, MC curve, which is always generally U-shaped curve, but in case of natural monopoly, average cost curve and marginal cost curve is always slopes downward, which shows as well as output increases, cost start decreases. For example, like government is expanding the metro connectivity, and metro projects are expanding now, but the initial cost of launching first metro in Delhi, that cost was very higher. But after expanding these projects, the cost will be lower. So this is called natural monopoly, in which the initial cost of that project will become higher, but after that cost will become lower, and no one compete that other firms. That's why this is also show entry barriers to the market. Next is government policies. Government policies are related to trade, tariffs, quotas, subsidies, licensing can drastically increase production cost. So government policies, if government follow this type of policies like trade, if government impose more tariffs is import duty, if government put restrictions regarding quota system and subsidies, And if government restrict to provide license, they can drastically increase the production cost, and some small business entrepreneur who can't afford this huge production cost, they can't enter into the market. So this is also the common barrier to entry. Next is product differentiation. Companies with strong brand loyalty are difficult to compete against without investing heavily in marketing. And other disadvantages are like disadvantages related to availability of personal, trade secrets, technological advantages, access to raw material, location. They can also create high barriers to entry. And cost for the consumer to switch economies of scale. Production cost decreases with larger production. As well as production become higher, cost will start diminishes. When production is maximum, you know that cost is minimum. There is an inverse relationship between production and cost. So if production increases, cost decreases. So production cost decreases with larger production, forcing new entrants to ramp up production immediately or suffer a larger cost disadvantage. So these are common barriers to entry. One is capital requirement, second is monopoly power, third is government policies, fourth is product differentiation, fifth is other disadvantages, and next is cost for the consumer to switch economies of scale. Now next is types of entry barriers in case of market structure. One is structural barriers, in which now we can classify entry barriers in different groups. One is economies of scale, which consider a natural monopoly. Vertical integration, in which backward or and forward integration may be possible. Control of important technologies, commodities, expertise and reputation of the incumbent, and brand loyalty and brand proliferation, inherent suspicion among consumers about new ideas, strategic barriers in which predatory pricing or limit pricing can restrict the entry of the new firms, heavy marketing spending or product differentiation. These are types of entry barriers. In this strategic barriers to entry, strategic entry barriers are those barriers created and maintained by the incumbents. Incumbents can erect strategic barriers by expanding capacity and or restoring to limit pricing or predatory pricing. For example, if a big player or huge firm who are producing their product in a very large scale, they can minimize the cost and due to economies of scale. So other firms who invested their money in a very small amount, they can't fix very lower price of their product. If a firm, if any industry has so many firms, like Reliance industry has so many firms, and there are different firms who are under in the Reliance industry. If any one firm is not getting profit and other firms are getting profit, then there will be no effect on Reliance industry. But if only single firm who are operating in the market structure, in a market, only single firm is existing and they are doing their business, they can't maintain that lower level of price, and it can't compete with huge big players. That's why incumbent can erect these strategic barriers by expanding capacity and or restoring to limit pricing or very least price which they can fix, who are producing in a large scale amount of goods and services. It can't be accepted. It can't be suitable for small firms or new players. That is strategic barriers to entry. Next is, now how we can show this examples of strategic barriers to entry. So there are different examples like limit pricing tactics, predatory pricing tactics. When a firm sets price low enough to discourage new entrants into the market. If a firm maintain or sets that price, that lower price, which can't be acceptable by other small firms, it means other small firms will be out from the competition. It is also the barriers to entry. And brand proliferation means brand loyalty. If your product like Oreo biscuits, there is a brand loyalty. Parle-G, there is a brand loyalty. So if there is a brand loyalty maintained in the market, then consumer always prefer to buy that product. If other small firm is producing in a good quantity or good quality product, but there is no brand loyalty exist in the market, then there is a restriction to entry in the market. Now next is setting an artificially low price for a product in order to drive out competitors. That is predatory pricing tactics, in which artificially you set low price for a product so that other firms can't enter into the market. These are examples of strategic barriers to entry. Now next is price analysis. Now how price can be determined? How price decisions can be taken by manager or business entrepreneurs. Price analysis is the process of deciding if the asking price for a product or service is fair and reasonable without examining the specific cost and profit calculation the vendor used in arriving at the price. Price analysis is very important because while analyzing the price level, we must have to analyze the cost and profit behind that determination of price level. Because without calculating cost and profit, we can't determine the exact price of the product. It is basically a process of comparing the price with known indicators of reasonableness. Examples of other forms of price analysis information include: one is analysis of previous prices which consumer pay for that product, comparison of vendor's price within the house estimate, comparison of quotations or published price list from multiple vendors, and comparison with GSA prices. So these are different examples of price analysis. Next is how price is determined. You know that in a free market economy where demand and supply curve intersect each other, equilibrium price is determined. Demand curve is slope always downward and supply which slopes always upward. Where both curve intersect each other, equilibrium price is determined. And this equilibrium price is that price which is freely determined with the forces of demand and supply curve, and perfect competition market always take over that price which is determined by the market. So perfect competitive firm is price taker, not maker. So this is the determination of price, how price is determined under this perfect competition market, or in a very simple example of commonly at present price is determined with the forces of demand and supply curve. And if this price is taken over by individual seller, that is called price taker. So this is horizontal curve. When a firm is price taker, not maker, that's demand curve will be always horizontal or parallel to the x-axis. And here AR will be equals to MR. AR means average revenue and MR is marginal revenue. Average revenue will be equals to marginal revenue. So this is the firm's demand curve under perfect competition. Now next is short-run equilibrium with perfect competition. We assume that firms are seeking to maximize profit. Each firm wants to gain maximum profit. So where in perfect competition market, where large number of buyers and sellers exist, all these sellers produces same product, homogeneous product. There is no competition, there is no barriers, no restrictions exist in the market, no need to put selling cost because product is homogeneous, price is uniform, and price is not determined by the firm. Price is determined by the industry. Firm is only price taker, not maker. So market supply and market demand curve, where both curve intersect each other, market price is determined and that price is taken over by these firms. And here AR will be equals to MR curve. Market demand curve of perfect competition market will always be a horizontal curve or parallel to the x-axis curve, and AC curve which shows average cost and MC shows marginal cost. If AC is less than AR and MC always cuts AC at its lowest point, and where MC cuts MR, that point will be equilibrium point. When cost is less and revenue is maximum, then firm will earn maximum profit. Because average revenue is the per unit price of the output and average cost is the per unit cost of output. If revenue is more than cost, then firm will maximize their profit. If revenue is equals to cost, then firm will earn normal profit, means no profit, no loss. If revenue is less and the revenue is less and the cost is higher, then firm will have to bear losses. So in this diagram, maximum profit or profit will be maximized when cost is lower and revenue is higher. Next is equilibrium price determination under perfect competition. In perfect competition, the equilibrium price is determined when both quantity demanded and quantity supplied are equal. Downward sloping demand curve which shows negative relationship between price and quantity demanded, high price, low demand, low price, high demand. And supply curve is always upward sloping curve which shows positive or direct relationship between price and supply. High price, high supply, low price, low supply. Where both curve intersect each other, equilibrium point is determined. At this equilibrium point, price will be OP and quantity will be OP. Now next is price determination under market period. You know that Marshall has classified time period into three parts. One is very short period, second is short period, third is long period. In a very short period, that is known as market period. In market period, no one factor can change. All factors remains constant. When factors remains constant, then quantity cannot be changed. So in this case, supply curve will be vertical or parallel to the y-axis line. Demand curve, which is always downward sloping curve, where demand and supply curve intersect each other, equilibrium point is determined. If demand increases, curve will shift to the right hand side. In this case, price will rise, and if demand decreases, price will fall. But nothing change in quantity will occur because this is the time period is market period. Market period is very short period in which we can't change the quantity of supply or quantity of product. In this case, price depends totally on demand. Demand rise, price rise, demand fall, price fall. But in case of short period or perishable goods are those goods which we use only for single purpose and which we have to use, have to purchase daily because we can't store it. We can't. It is not possible to store for a longer time period because these goods are perishable in nature. For example, milk, butter, bread, eggs, and other things like curd. These are perishable goods, and durable goods like TV, scooter, car, fridge, AC, etc. These are durable goods. So in shorter time period, if there is a small time period or a shorter period which is higher, which is not very shorter, it's a shorter. In this case, supply can change, but only with the help of a variable factor, not with the help of fixed factor. Because in short run, there is a difference between variable and fixed factors. If we want to increase the output level, we can change only the units of variable factor, not the fixed factor. So in the beginning, supply is higher, or supply is curve is positively sloped or upward sloping curve, which shows that with the help of variable factor, we can change the quantity of product in short time period. But in very short period, supply curve will be vertical. In this case, supply can't be increase, can't be decrease. So when very short time period exists in the market, then only price will rise due to rise in demand, and price will fall due to fall in demand, but quantity will not change. But in smaller time period, then it depends upon demand. If demand increases, price will rise, but simultaneously quantity will also rise. If demand falls, price and quantity both will fall. Only price will not fall, quantity will also fall. So this is the basic difference in between of market period and small or shorter time period. Next is, in case of perfect competition in short run, there is so many situations which may occur. Like in short run, perfect competitive firm may earn normal profit, firm may earn abnormal profit, and sometimes firm have to bear losses. So these are different diagrams which represent abnormal profit situation, normal profit situation, and losses situation. Here four diagrams. You are watching here four diagrams. First diagram is simply showing determination of price level. How price is determined? Price is determined through the forces of market demand and market supply curve, where both curve intersect each other. Equilibrium price is determined, and if we take over these equilibrium price to another different forms, like this is the industry curve, and these are different firms curve, firm A, firm B, and firm C. If we take over this price which is determined by the industry, that is equals to AR is equals to MR. Now if AC curve lies under the AR curve, and MC, you know that always cuts AC at its lowest point, and both are U-shaped curve, where MC cuts MR, equilibrium point we can determine, and if we join this equilibrium point to x-axis, quantity will be determined, and this equilibrium quantity EQ intersects AC curve at A point. Here new price line will be drawn, and this new price line is showing that cost is less but revenue is more. When AR is more and AC is less, then this shaded portion is showing abnormal profit. In second case, if AC is tangent to the AR curve, if AR and AC both are equal, there is no gap in between of these two concepts, then firm will earn normal profit or no profit, no loss situation will occur. And in last diagram or firm C diagram, here average cost is more than average revenue, not touching to this AR curve, not lie below this AR curve, it is above this AR curve. When AC curve is above AR curve, that is showing that cost is higher and revenue is lower. So this shaded portion is showing that here firm is bearing losses. So these are different situations of perfect competitive market under short time period. And this is the industry's determination of price curve, and how price is determined in case of an industry. Simply, where demand and supply curve intersect each other, equilibrium price is determined. Now next is, so price determination under perfect competition. Under perfect competition, price is determined by the industry, not the firms. Equilibrium price is that point where demand curve, market demand is equals to market supply, which is determined by the industry, and the price so determined becomes the price of the firms under perfect competition market. And perfect competition firm is called price taker, not maker, because firm will not determine the price. Firm will always take over that price which is determined by the industry's market forces of demand and supply curve. Next is, perfect competitive market is that market in which large number of buyers and sellers are exist. There is a freedom of entry and exit. There is a homogeneous product, and here no one individual buyer and no one individual seller can influence the market situation or market price or market quantity. So free and perfect competition. Large number of sellers exist in this market. Large number of buyers exist in this market. Product is homogeneous. Entry and exit is freely possible. Perfect knowledge is available in this market. Why perfect knowledge is available? Because product is same, price is same. When price is uniform, product is homogeneous, then perfect knowledge will be available to buyers and sellers. Perfect mobility of factors of production. Here is a perfect mobility, like factors of productions are perfectly mobile, which can move from one place to another place, one country to another country. There is no restriction of mobility of these factors of production. And in perfect competition market, we assume that there is a lack of transportation cost, means there is no transportation cost exists in this market. This is the unrealistic assumption, which is assumed by perfect competition market. That's why we can say that perfect competition market at present does not exist. It's a myth because it is based on some unrealistic assumptions. And when product is same, price is same, then no selling cost will occur in case of perfect competition market. Now next is, what is a monopoly? A monopoly market is that form of market structure in which there is only single seller exist in the market. If there is only one seller, here monopoly word is derived from two words. One is mono, other is poly. Mono means single, poly means seller. So it is clear by its name that monopoly is a market where only single seller exists in the market. So in monopoly firm, sellers are very small in numbers or seller is only one, but buyers may be in large numbers. So monopoly are fairly common. US postal services, local utility companies, local cable providers, etc. Here single seller sells a product for which there are no close substitutes are available. Like Indian Railways, in case of this Indian Railways, government has monopoly power. Government can differentiate the product or government can make homogeneous product. So product may be homogeneous, may be differentiated. It depends on the willingness of the seller. Next is profit maximization for a monopoly. In case of monopoly, demand curve is always downward sloping curve. AR curve will be downward sloping curve. MR always remains lower than AR curve. When AR falls, MR falls before than AR curve. MR can be 0, can be negative, but AR is equals to price, and price you know that can never be 0. So AR curve is downward sloping curve. This blue line is AR curve, which is equals to demand, and red line is showing MR curve, marginal revenue curve. This AC is the U-shaped curve, average total cost or average cost is same, and marginal cost always cuts AC at its lowest point, where MC cuts MR, equilibrium point is determined. At this equilibrium point, quantity will be determined this, and if we join this line or extend this line to AR curve, AR is equals to price, then we can determine the monopoly price of the product, and where AC cuts this MR curve, here where MC cuts MR curve, equilibrium point is determined. So this is the maximum profit portion under monopoly market. If average cost is less and average revenue is higher, then firm will earn maximum profit. But the nature of demand curve is different. In case of perfect competition, nature of demand curve is horizontal, but in case of monopoly, nature of demand curve is always downward sloping curve. Now, profit maximizing monopoly firm in which demand curve is downward sloping curve, MR can be zero, can be negative, AC is U-shaped curve. If AC curve lies below the AR curve, then firm will earn maximum profit. And in case of monopoly, in long run, monopoly firm always earn abnormal or supernormal profit. Why? Its reason is there is no risk. There is a very huge barriers or restrictions on entry and exit. But in case of perfect competition, perfect competitive firm always earn normal profit in long run because there is a fully freedom of entry and exit. So if there is barriers of entry and exit, then firm will earn maximum profit. If there is no barriers, then firm will earn only normal profit in long run. In short run, firm may be earn abnormal profit, normal profit, and maybe bear losses also. So in this case, monopoly firm, there are different characteristics of monopoly market. Like in monopoly firm, only single seller exists, no close substitutes are available, price maker. Perfect competitive firm is price taker, but monopoly firm is price maker. Here is restrictions on entry and exit. There is no price competition because price is fixed by monopoly firm, and price is always fixed by monopoly at a higher level because monopoly firm wants to earn maximum profit. So price remains always higher and quantity remains always lower. And availability of information is not perfect, it's imperfect because we can't predict about the price of the product by which set by monopoly firm and the quantity of the product which is set by monopoly or single seller. So here information is always remains imperfect, not perfect. Next is allocative efficiency. Allocative efficiency always exists. What is the meaning of this allocative efficiency? Allocation means distribution. If the distribution is equal among all, then it will be called allocative efficiency. Allocative efficiency only exists in case of perfect competition market, not in monopoly market. Because monopoly market in which only single seller exists and its main aim is to earn maximum profit, so monopoly firm always sets higher price and sell it at and lower quantity. That's why monopoly allocative inefficiency exists. And in competition market, allocative efficiency exists. So we can conclude from today's session that a good pricing strategy is not the only factor in success. A company must understand its customers, the benefits they value most, and exceptionally provide those benefits. A company also needs to better understand the competition and how customers perceive their product. If used properly, this knowledge can put a company ahead to the rest. Most valuable product and superior services enables customer to justify paying more for a product because they believe in the product and the company. So remaining portion we will discuss in next session. Thank you.